Question this morning is, we have this life on this plane for a period of time. And how would your life be different? How would your life be different if you walked through your day imagining that the universe is conspiring in your favor? How would your life be different if you imagined that everyone you came in contact with was coming to give you the gift of their love and their positivity? How would your life be different? How would your life be different if you embraced each day rather than dreading the coming of the Monday morning? How would your life be different if you woke up excited and grateful to be, rather than seeing each moment as a chore and something just to get through? And how would your life be different if you stopped pushing yourself so hard? How would your life be different if you were okay just the way you are and just the way you are not? How would your life be different? How would your life be different if you gave people the benefit of the doubt? If you listened before judging and reacting? If you actually were present to the other people in your life? How would your life be different if you were part of the universe conspiring and bringing love and compassion to those people? How would your life be different? So this is the question that we are asking today, is how could my life be different? How could my life be different if I spoke up when I needed to? How would my life be different if I stepped into that light and stood proudly? How would my life be different? And so I ask these questions to myself. How would your life be different if you allowed yourself to stand in the truth rather than in fear? How would your life be different if you allowed yourself to be exactly who you are? Not who you think you are, not who somebody else wants you to be, who you actually are. How would your life be different? I have a feeling it would be pretty amazing. I have a feeling that it would be absolutely wonderful, and we have a choice each day in that. We have a choice to make a difference in our own lives and in the lives of people that come into our experience. This life is available to us any minute, any moment, and this is what we learn in the science of mind and spirit. So the question is, are you ready to have your life be different? Are you ready to have your life be different? I don't know, I'm kind of comfortable the way I am. You know, am I willing to step out? Am I willing to step back? These are all questions that we have an option and a choice in. So, there is a power for good in the universe and you can use it. Has anybody ever heard this before? Anybody? This is how religious science founder Dr. Ernest Holmes started his mid-century radio broadcasts. We actually have one tape of him, which I'm not going to play today, but one tape of him saying this in his studio, obviously, and he sits back. He's a little guy. He's not a very big guy, as a matter of fact, but he's got a heck of a voice. He had a mesmerizing voice, and he perched on the edge of his desk. And he said, "There's a power for good in the universe, and you can use it." So this begs the question, well, what is this power? And that's quickly followed by, how does it work? What does it do? And how can I get a piece of that action? So for this, we look to one of the first books that Ernest Holmes published in 1926. He published a book called Science of Mind. And then in 1935, he edited a little bit. Did you ever do something earlier in your life and then go back and change it just a little? That's what he did with that book. But not very much. What he did was he added 4 chapters in the beginning that tell us about this. It talks about the thing itself, the way it works, what it does, and how to use it. So we're going to talk a little bit about that this morning. So we talk about the power being one life. And there is a universal mind, this divine mind that is in all things, everywhere, all the time, eternally present. It is a creative intelligence. It is that cause behind everything that is. It is sometimes referred to as first cause. It is beauty. We describe it with words like beauty, truth, love, light, joy, peace, harmony, wisdom. And all these are qualities of that spirit because we really can't pinpoint it and saying this is that divine power because it's bigger and greater than we can imagine. And yet it's very personal to us. It's in our very hearts. It's what helps us move our hands and feet. It's life itself. And it knows exactly what it's doing and how it's doing, and it knows that it knows. So it's an awareness of itself. So this is that power. This is what Ernest Holmes says about it. He says, there's, let's see, what does he say? Oh, he says there's a universal mind, spirit, intelligent, that is the origin of everything. It is first cause. It is God. So we can call it by whatever name we want. There was a minister, I'm sure you know her, remember her, and she was in Pasadena, and she called God Big Sweetie. This is a personal relationship with God, and we are the beloved of Spirit, so why not Big Sweetie? Whatever it is, the name we have for it is irrelevant. It is that divine nature, which is why it's the thing itself. And then how does it work? Well, this is a really good question. I know that there's electricity, but I have no idea how it works unless you start to study the science and say, well, this electron moves this electron, which moves that electron, and it just goes down, it goes through those wires. I don't know how anybody knew to put those wires up, but there they went. So I don't know exactly how this divine does its work either, but I know that it works, and it works through its creation. It works through that which it has already created. It is impersonal in that it works for everybody, just like gravity. Gravity works for everybody. Absolutely everything on our planet is governed by gravity. Well, the same with this divine spirit. It works for everybody. It's impersonal in that respect, and yet we can use it, and yet it is very personal because it's in our hearts. It's in our minds. This is what Ernest says about that. He says, universal life and energy finds an outlet in and through all that is energized, through everything that lives. There is one life back of everything that lives. There's one energy back of that, all that's energized, and this energy is in everything. There's one spirit back of all expression. In the beginning, when Ernest Holmes wrote his work, he started with a declaration of principles. He said, this is what I believe. And we've kind of adopted that, translated a bit, saying, well, this is what we believe. And we've also given it the gender-neutral revisions. So this is the first part of that. We believe in God, the living Spirit Almighty, one, indestructible, absolute, self-existent cause. And this is the part that I like. This one manifests itself in creation, but is not absorbed by its creation. So everything is created of that divine spirit, and yet it is not absorbed by it. So it exists absolutely without limit. It's like the artist creates an piece of art, a work, but everything that they are goes into it, but it doesn't absorb them. It doesn't take away from who and what they are. What it does, it gives life It creates out of itself. It gives all things life, and life becomes to us whatever it is that we most need at that moment. The particular thing that we believe. So this is where we get the idea of coming to that spirit with a thimble, which is container, it holds something, or a bucket, or a carload, or whatever it happens to be. How much can you accept? This is how Spirit gives. It says, how much do you accept? How much can you believe? How much are you ready to receive? And that's what it does. It gives of itself. It is the self-givingness of Spirit to its creation. Life is an eternal givingness, offering of the cosmic self to the joy of its own fulfillment. You and I are part of this joy, and we find fulfillment only as this joy passes through us to others. Everything moves in circles. We short-circuit our own good when we refuse to pass it on. So it gives of itself. Okay, now how do we use it? This is the important piece. This is the piece we want to come to today, is like, how can I get some of this? How can I have it working in my life? Oh, by the way that I want it to work. Because whether you are aware of it or not, it is always working for you. And if you believe it's not working, then it's working because you believe it's not if it doesn't work. I'm not going to say that again. So we use it in everything. We use it all of the time to do whatever it is that we're doing. It is that life force that moves through us. Now, in our center, we use it through visioning. We use it through meditation. We use it through treatment. These are our tools that we use, and this is how we use that word. So we use it through our word. Your word uses that one creative energy. And by the way, it works the other way too. That divine creative energy uses you. It uses you to be that co-conspirator in this creative world. So you are a co-creator, and I know this is true because I've had this experience in my life. Several years ago, I was driving to my volunteer job, so I didn't have to be there, but I was supposed to be there. And I got this call to go to, I didn't get a call. I got a call to go to the blood bank. And I thought, well, okay, I have O negative, so I'm a universal donor, so, occasionally they actually do call me on the phone, but this time it was like this call that nobody else heard. You ever had one of those? Nobody else hears this call. So I was on my way, and I thought, okay, well, I'll just go out of my way, take a couple blocks, detour. I got there, and they said, okay, well, check me in. I go back to the little room, and as I go back to the little room, I hear the receptionist out there calling somebody else. And she said, oh, the blood that you ordered just walked in. It's like, jeez. So, and it's wonderful because, the O negative is used for transfusions for newborns. So it's like, Spirit is using me. So this was a revelation to me. It's like, oh, who, me? I'm just this little, person coming with a cup that, can I just get a little bit? It's like, no, you get to give. You are the giver as well. So I was really blown open by that idea. So there is a law in the universe, this is what Ernest tells us, that operates in a certain way according to the tendency set in motion, and it does so mathematically, inexorably. We cannot destroy the law, but we can redirect it. Just as we plant seeds and later decide we wish something else, we go out and uproot the first seeds and plant others in their place. Did you ever do that? I had a experience a few years ago where I went to the center in Dallas as I was going to school up there, and so I went up there, and this day they had seeds. They had this little basket of seeds, Everybody had a little seed, and they give you a little cup, and then, you put a little soil in the little cup. And so that was a very good idea. I thought, well, this is great, because I know, and the experience was, whatever you plant, by the way, that's what's going to grow. So you can plant the seed, but you're not going to get, you are going to get radishes out of this, but you're not going to get tomatoes out of it. And here's Texas native seeds. You're not going to get lilacs out of that one. Or rhubarb, by the way, which is a shame, really. But what we plant is what we get. So, being a good little student, I took my little cup home. I did this first time in kindergarten, but I thought I'll try it again. So I take my cup home, and I thought, I'll take it to the office. At that time, I was working in an office where if you stepped out in the hallway, you were at windows, but my office didn't have any windows. So, and we usually kept our doors closed at night. So I planted my little seed, and then I thought, I'm going to have to water it. And, on the weekends, I'm going to have to set it outside the door so it'll get the light on the weekends, because I wasn't working on the weekends. So I did that, and you know what happened? The little seed sprouted. The most amazing miracle, the seed sprouted. And I thought, this is fantastic. And then it grew, and the little tendrils went out. It's like, oh, my little seed, my little plant, my little bean plant. And pretty soon there's like a bean stalk, and it's kind of going around the room. And I'm thinking, I don't really want this. I planted it, yes, I feel responsible. It's my plant, I've watered it, I've nurtured it, I've taken care of it. And you know what, I just don't want it now. But I don't know that I can just rip it up or not water it or something. So be careful what you plant, because it will grow. It will grow. This is our symbol. Have you ever wondered what that was? So what this represents is the seed, the soil, the plant. We had a delightful person, Michelle Queter, did this for us about 15 years ago. And it's like, we still use it. So the idea, the circle here is the creator. Absolute, eternal, everything is in there. Everything is within that circle. We divide it into a triune nature of mind, spirit. Then we actually have the law, which is the creative medium, the soil. And then we have the body, which is the physical form. So this symbol that we use is actually called the teaching symbol. It's not really our logo, but it looks like it. It's a teaching symbol. It is that divine spirit coming into form at the very tip there. So we have the creator, we have the creative, and we have the created. So this is how that power works. It is all one divine creative energy. It creates through the medium of the law, the way that we speak our word, and it ends up with what we have created. So everything that we have has been created out of this divine nature. So we do plant our seeds, and we know that as we grow those seeds, that they manifest in divine and right ways. And so if we ask ourselves, how would my life be different? How would my life be different if I planted a different seed? How would my life be different if I decided to plant something that was joyful? If I planted something that was freeing? If I uprooted something that was causing me to be tied down? How would my life be different? What harvest would I receive? Right now I have one tomato plant, which I did want. And every day it gives me about 3 little tiny cherry tomatoes. So I just love this little plant. And it's growing and giving me that creative energy in the soil, giving me those tomatoes. That is the form that it's taking. So we can do that. How would your life be different if you were if you were choosing to use this power consciously? If you were aware of what you were creating. So this awareness comes through our treatment work. This awareness comes through our meditation and through our visioning. Visioning being the intuitive aspect, meditation, that spiritual guidance, that prayer, that speaking and communing with spirit. So this is how it works. I love the piece that Linda read in the beginning, because this is the Global Heart Vision. This is how we put this, how we envision the Centers for Spiritual Living working in the world. We're not just this group of people gathered here today. There's an organization, a group of people with hundreds of centers across the world that meet either Sundays or Wednesdays or whenever, and they all are also sharing that same vision. And this is what I think is crucial, that as we do that, we start to make a difference. As we do that, things change in our world. And a perfect example of this is in 1986 when Reverend Rainbow was here, and our dear recently departed John Randolph Price talked about his World Day of Peace. This was in 1986. At that time, there was still a Berlin Wall. And that wall came down. And people have pieces of that wall. This is a perfect demonstration of how that intention manifested out in this world. And we can do that again. Coming up on September 13th this year, we're going to have a World Day of Service. The Centers for Spiritual Living are having a World Day of Service. Now, no one is prescribing what someone must do that day. But the thought is, do something. Do something that's going to make a difference in this world. That's a Saturday, you got all day. And if you want to do it with a group of people, we can plan something. But let's get out and do something. I was with the centers, about 5 ministers in Dallas on Friday night, and they were talking about what they're going to do up there. And they're going to be one of the places where the children are going in Garland, Texas. And so they're going to, help prepare the way for that. So think about, what is it you want to do? How can you make a difference in this world on September 13th? Because we have a vision. And several people here have a piece of paper, a half sheet, that has this vision on it. And so I would like, one at a time, if you could stand and read those lines. This is the Global Vision for Centers for Spiritual Living. First person.
We envision all people, all beings, and all life as experiences of God.
Say yes. Yes.
We see a world in which each and every person lives in alignment with his or her highest spiritual principle, emphasizing unity with God and connection with each other. A world in which individually and collectively we are called to a higher state of consciousness and action.
Let's say yes. Yes.
We envision humanity awakening to its spiritual magnificence and discovering the creative power of thought. A world where each and every person discovers his or her own personal power and ability to create an individual life that works within a world that works for everyone.
Yes.
We envision a world in which we live and grow as one global family that respects and honors the interconnectedness of all life. A world where this kinship with all life prospers and connects through the guidance of spiritual wisdom and experience.
Yes.
We envision a world where personal responsibility joins with social conscience in every area of the political, corporate, academic, and social sectors, providing sustainable structures to further the emerging global consciousness.
Yes.
We envision a world where each and every person has enough food, a home, and a sense of belonging. A world of peace and harmony, enfranchisement, and justice.
Yes.
We envision a world in which resources are valued cared for, and grown, and where there is generous and continuous sharing of their resources.
Yes.
We envision a worldwide culture in which forgiveness, whether for errors, injustices, or deaths, is the norm.
Yes.
We envision a world which has renewed its emphasis on beauty, nature, and love through the resurgence of creativity, art, and the aesthetics.
Yes.
We envision a world that works for everyone and for all of creation.
Yes. So that's how our world would be different.